We are back from Paris, turning our attention from the Olympics for a moment here to one of the year's most highly anticipated movies.
Oh yes, it's called It Ends With Us. It's based on Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel. And when you have Blake Lively in the starring role, you know it's going to generate even more excitement.
Chanel sat down with Blake and her co-star Jenny Slate to talk about what it was like on such...
Blake Lively and the subject line involved Wayfair Studios. This was not a fan message or a critical comment. This was an official subpoena. The email arrived at exactly 3:56 p.m. It was sent by Google and it informed the channel owner that her Google account had been subpoenaed. In the case of Blake Lively versus Wayfair Studios, the email was not long. It did not include a copy of the subpoena itself. It simply informed her that unless she filed a motion to quash the subpoena and sent a copy to Google by 10 a.m. on July 31, 2025, then Google may turn over private account information. This could include emails, search history, YouTube analytics, and more. That email created a wave of confusion. The content creator's name is Katie, and she runs without a crystal ball. She is known for covering high-profile legal cases and breaking down celebrity legal drama for the general public. But even she was surprised. The first question that came to her mind was simple. What does Blake Lively hope to find in her Google account? Katie explained in her video that her Gmail account connected to her YouTube channel is not her business email. It is not her personal email either. It is a default account that mostly collects spam. She does not use it to speak with sources. She does not email lawyers or parties connected to the Blake Lively case from it. In fact, most of the inbox is newsletters, receipts, or promotional materials. She regularly deletes everything from that inbox because she prefers a clean space. There are no secret conversations sitting in that account. And yet Blake Lively's attorney Ezra Hudson had issued a subpoena to Google requesting data related to that exact email address. Katie has never spoken to Blake Lively. She has never spoken to Blake's legal team or to any of the individuals directly involved in the case. She has never communicated with Brian Friedman or with Justin Baldoni. She has not emailed or called Stephanie Jones, Jamie Heath, Jen L. Steve Sarowitz, or anyone else involved in the lawsuit. Her coverage is based on publicly available court records, official legal documents, and news sources. She also receives tips through her tip line, but those tips are filtered and followed up with fact-checking and legal review. The irony here is that the content creator is not hiding her identity. Her name is public. Her channel is registered as a limited liability company in the state of Minnesota. Her coverage is not secret. Her videos are watched by thousands and her commentary is openly available for anyone to review. So the question becomes again, why the subpoena? Why did Blake Lively's legal team go through Google instead of sending a direct request to Katie's legal representative? In fact, Katie had already received a cease and desist letter from Stephanie Jones's legal representative, Kristen Toller. That letter had arrived via certified overnight delivery and it accused her of defamation.
Always, every second, I just look around going, these are the days, I feel really fortunate.
They were comments made during coverage of a legal case that had already become public. Katie had shared rumors and speculation, but always with disclaimers and clarifications. She did not claim the rumors as facts. Even more surprising is that Katie's comments were often cautious. In the early stages of the case, she was hesitant to take sides. She did not immediately jump to conclusions. In fact, she has shared multiple times that she initially believed Blake Lively. When Blake first brought her allegations to court, Katie gave her the benefit of the doubt. She recognized that survivors of trauma often carry stories that are complex and painful. She wanted to be careful, but then Wayfair Studios filed their response in court. They included...
What do you want people to walk away with at the end of this movie?
In this movie, it covers trauma, and it covers pain, and it covers joy and levity and first loves, and I want people to feel connected, and I want them to feel seen, and I think that just wanting people to feel is beautiful.
That in the film, Blake was wearing a hospital gown, a prosthetic belly, and shorts. There was no visible nudity, no explicit content. It did not look like harassment or abuse. Katie also noticed something important. The movie was based on a book, and that book had intense graphic scenes. The book was far more sexually explicit than the film itself. So when Blake said the film had been twisted into something that she did not agree with, Katie started asking more questions. If the source material was already graphic and the film was less so, then how could the film be accused of adding things that were never meant to be there? She also began considering how movies are made. When actors film a sex scene, even a simulated one, they must have conversations about what will be shown. They must coordinate with intimacy coaches, choreographers, and directors. It is not possible to film something personal and emotional without having a creative discussion about it. So Katie wondered if Blake was mistaking those professional conversations for harassment. In her video, Katie explained that the legal notice from Google came just one day before a court deadline. The judge had ordered that all third-party subpoenas must be completed by July 25th. But Blake's team had sent the Google subpoena on July 10th with a response deadline of July 31st. That raised questions. Was Blake's team trying to delay the process? Were they using subpoenas as a strategy to pressure or intimidate content creators? Was this about gathering information or about silencing voices? Katie made her position clear. She will not hand over her account. She is not afraid of legal pressure. She is represented by a legal team and they are already preparing to challenge the subpoena. If Blake's legal team does not withdraw it, they will file a motion to quash. That motion will explain to the court that the subpoena is unnecessary, unreasonable, and intrusive. Katie also took time to clarify that she has never been paid to cover the Blake Lively case. She has not received money from Wayfair Studios or from any of the parties involved. Her Pacer bill, which is the fee for accessing public court records, was over $4,700. That was money she spent on research, not money she earned. Her interest in the case is professional, not personal. She also stressed that she has never encouraged hate toward Blake. She does not call Blake names or attack her appearance. She uses Blake's first name or calls her Miss Lively. She tries to keep her tone respectful even when she is skeptical. She wants her audience to understand the facts and she wants to be fair in how she reports them. Katie has covered many cases before. She has investigated Ruby Franke, Josh Duggar, and the Church of Scientology. She covered the Sister Wives Court cases and the lawsuits involving Britney Spears. Her style is not aggressive. It is detailed and opinionated but rooted in court evidence and documents. She believes this case is no different. Blake Lively filed it in public court and that means it is subject to public commentary. She explained that her commentary is not coordinated with anyone. There is no campaign, there is no organized group behind her. She is not part of a team or a network targeting Blake. She simply started covering the case when the court records were available. If she had seen evidence proving Blake's claims, she would have reported that too, but what she saw raised more doubts than answers. Katie also emphasized that subpoenas like this are dangerous. They create a chilling effect. When journalists and independent reporters are dragged into court without cause, it sends a message that speaking out is risky. It discourages coverage, it intimidates people, and in Katie's view, that is not fair. She pointed out that she has a right to protect her sources. Anonymous sources have come forward and shared their insights, but they are not parties in the case. They are not actors or producers or directors. They are not employees of Blake or Wayfair. And Katie will not reveal who they are. That is part of journalistic integrity. She ended her video with a promise to her audience. She will keep them informed. If her team files a motion to quash, she will update her subscribers. If the subpoena is withdrawn, she will report that too. She is not afraid. She believes in freedom of the press and the right to speak openly about public legal matters. She is not backing down, and that is just the beginning of Subpoena-gate. Blake Lively subpoena drama and the YouTube fallout in the world of entertainment. Legal cases often attract attention, but some incidents stretch far beyond courtrooms and begin to affect creators, media outlets, and independent journalists. Recently, one such situation has emerged involving actress Blake Lively and several online content creators. This issue centers on subpoenas that have been sent out to Google demanding information about YouTube accounts, including one belonging to the well-known commentary channel Without a Crystal Ball. The host of this channel, Katie Polson, has addressed this development in a detailed video expressing confusion and concern over the actions taken by Lively's legal team. Katie begins by acknowledging that she may have spoken too soon about the legal comms surrounding the ongoing case. She reveals that she received an email from Google at 3:56 p.m. informing her that a subpoena had been filed for. Katie Polson, a journalist and creator of Without a Crystal Ball, shared her concerns after receiving a notice from Google about a subpoena filed by Blake Lively's legal team. The subpoena was related to the ongoing lawsuit between Lively and Wayfair Studios. Katie was surprised by the lack of information in the subpoena and questioned why her personal Gmail was being targeted when she never used it for business or confidential communication. She had already received a cease and desist from Lively's team for comments made about Stephanie Jones, but insisted her reporting was based on court records and sources, not direct involvement. She emphasized that she never contacted any of the key parties and only used publicly available information, including expensive legal documents accessed through Pacer. She questioned if the subpoena was an attempt to uncover her funding or silence her independent journalism. Katie maintained She was not paid by anyone and covered the case with neutrality, until more evidence changed her perception, including a controversial birth scene from the film, where she pointed out there was no nudity or explicit visuals contradicting harassment claims. She explained that creative discussions about scenes are common in filmmaking and do not necessarily equal misconduct. She also stressed that the original book was more explicit than the film and that Blake would have known this. When signing on as an actress, she argued that the film would not even reach PG-13 levels and felt the case was being misrepresented. Katie also stated she operates a registered legal business and has no obligation to reveal her anonymous sources. She believes the subpoena is a scare tactic aimed at independent creators to increase their legal costs and delay proceedings by targeting irrelevant third parties. She also pointed to conflicting deadlines in the subpoena and questioned if this was a procedural strategy. Her main concern is being unfairly targeted for her journalism, which she claims is no different from her coverage of other public cases involving celebrities and public figures. She pledged to challenge the subpoena, possibly by filing a motion to quash, and promised to keep her viewers updated. Katie believes the bigger issue is the legal pressure being placed on online creators who are simply reporting on facts available to the public. She said her content never insulted Blake personally, never encouraged harassment, and did not cross ethical lines. Her goal was to help viewers understand complex legal issues through court evidence, not tabloid rumors. She called for critical thinking and encouraged followers to look beyond headlines and evaluate full context. She admitted that reading text messages and production emails in the case raised serious concerns because they contradicted the narrative being presented publicly. She said the communications seemed professional and did not reflect discomfort or fear, which one might expect if misconduct had occurred. She emphasized again that the birth scene was filmed professionally with proper costumes and protocols and said there was no visible nudity or inappropriate visuals. She reiterated that different people have different boundaries, but from a legal and production standpoint, she saw nothing inappropriate. She also reminded viewers that she was not the one pushing the story into public view, but only began reporting once legal filings were public and media outlets covered the story. Her final point was that legal tools should not be misused to intimidate the press, especially when the reporting is based on facts and evidence already submitted in court records. She vowed to stand firm and continue her work as a legal commentator and journalist.
I mean, she is, to speak of women of multitudes and women who know how to be both strong and vulnerable, a woman who knows how to step into herself and into her story and show others of what that.
And studied similar legal precedents. She explained that conversations about sex scenes are a normal part of the creative process, used to establish boundaries and consent long before cameras roll. She emphasized that these discussions do not by themselves indicate any wrongdoing or misconduct. Her concern shifted toward the subpoenas issued to content creators like herself. She believed they were meant to access data that had no connection to the case, and that this could include revenue, location data, or private emails. She was disturbed by this level of intrusion, especially since the account in question was just a default Gmail. Linked to her YouTube, it contained spam newsletters and promotional emails, not business or legal correspondence. Her real communication was done through separate secure channels. She pointed out that even the timing of the subpoena was questionable. The judge had set a deadline for third-party data to be submitted by July 25th, but her subpoena had a deadline of July 31st, raising questions about whether the delay was a tactic to buy time or surprise creators with legal pressure. She had already consulted her legal team and said that if the subpoena was not withdrawn, she would file a motion to quash. She made it clear she was not intimidated and would not be silenced. Katie reminded her audience that her reporting is based on public documents and legal analysis. She only began covering the story after the lawsuit became public and both sides had filed their claims. She read every document, watched the movie, read the book, and gave both sides a fair chance. Her goal was to inform, not attack. She does not publish private messages or share off the record conversations, and she does not take sides until evidence supports doing so. She explained that her initial reaction to the case was sympathetic to Blake Lively. She understood how trauma can be difficult to express, but as more evidence became public, her perspective changed. She saw inconsistencies between the narrative and the legal documents, including production emails and text messages, that suggested a more cooperative and professional tone than what had been claimed. She also revisited the controversial birth scene and explained in detail how it was filmed with professional standards and no nudity involved. Katie explained that court filings are public documents unless sealed, and that discussing them is part of open journalism. She does not make personal attacks or encourage harassment. She pays out of pocket for access to court documents and does not receive money from any party involved in the case. Her coverage of the Lively lawsuit is no different from her reporting on other legal stories involving celebrities and public figures. She takes the same approach each time: fact-based research, evidence-driven commentary, and responsible journalism. She warned about the chilling effect these subpoenas could have on small creators who may not have legal support. She questioned whether these subpoenas were meant to silence voices who discuss public court cases and challenged the assumption that creators should back down under legal pressure. She assured her viewers that she would not. She emphasized her channel is a legal business and follows YouTube policy and journalistic best practices. Her community has supported her across many major legal cases, and she has remained consistent in her methods. She keeps sources anonymous when needed and never reveals private details without consent. Her final thought was about the subpoena itself, which came with no details about what was being requested. She believed the legal team might want to look at her emails, her analytics, or her influence over the public discourse around the case, but she stood firm that she had done nothing wrong. Katie Polson emphasized again that she has never spoken to any lawyer from Brian Friedman's firm, nor has she communicated with Justin Baldoni or anyone from his team. She has not coordinated any content with any party involved in the lawsuit. Her coverage has always been independent and grounded in verified court records and documents sent by credible sources. She reminded her audience that even though viewers send her tips, she does not use those tips unless they are backed by documentation. This has been a consistent practice and is one of the reasons her followers trust her work. Katie explained that she had no personal attachment to Blake Lively or Ryan Reynolds before the case. She had not followed their careers or watched their movies regularly. She only became interested in the case once it turned into a legal matter involving serious allegations and public contradictions between official filings and public narratives. She has never used her platform to insult or attack people personally. She may be sarcastic at times, but her overall tone is rooted in analysis of public records and not in hate. She discussed how important it is for independent creators to be able to report on public cases.
Very large, polyp on my vocal cord. It's extremely difficult to perform with, and I'm not willing to sever it because the chance of waking up from a surgery and not sounding like myself.
Examine legal documents and ask difficult questions even when celebrities are involved. As she moved further into the topic, Katie expressed surprise that someone as powerful and well-resourced as Blake Lively would target small independent creators with legal tools. She reminded viewers that this is a civil case involving professional disagreements, and no criminal charges have been filed. Lively did not go to police. She filed in civil court, where both parties are allowed to present evidence and respond publicly. She emphasized that civil court filings are public unless sealed and that anyone has the right to read and comment on them. She reiterated that subpoenas are normal in discovery, but sending them to independent journalists who have no direct connection to the case feels excessive. She found it bizarre that her default Gmail was targeted. The account is only used for YouTube access and not professional emails or sensitive communications. Her business email, which would contain any actual correspondence, was never mentioned in the subpoena. Katie explained that she put significant effort into separating facts from opinion in her content. She reads through all court documents, verifies dates and timelines, and makes sure her commentary is grounded in what is publicly available. She admitted to using sarcasm sometimes, especially when reacting to legal letters that accused her of defamation for using terms like ruthless or cutthroat, but reminded viewers that such commentary is not defamatory unless it contains knowingly false claims. She addressed the financial side of her reporting by confirming she is not paid by any parties in the lawsuit. She makes her revenue through her channel but reinvests a large portion into her reporting. This includes legal consultations, court record fees, and subscription services like Pacer. She showed a bill that totaled thousands of dollars just for accessing public records over a short period. She does this because she is committed to transparency and accuracy. Katie responded to critics who claim she is chasing clout by saying that covering legal stories is exhausting and often comes with backlash. It involves serious research and emotional labor and the risk of legal pressure, especially when dealing with public figures. She waited to cover this case until Wayfair Studios filed their side, because before that the only narrative available was from Blake Lively. Once she had access to the full story, she began to notice contradictions between the movie, the book, and the legal claims. She clarified that feeling uncomfortable during filming is valid, but that does not automatically mean misconduct occurred. The legal process exists to sort through those gray areas and assign responsibility. If necessary, she is not invested in how the case ends, she is invested in making sure the public has access to what is happening through proper reporting. She returned to the broader issue of subpoenas to creators, warning that this tactic could be used to suppress coverage and intimidate smaller voices. She emphasized again that her legal team is monitoring the situation and that she will take any action necessary to protect her rights. This includes potentially filing a motion to quash the subpoena. She firmly stated that she has never spoken to anyone at Wayfair Studios or exchanged messages with anyone involved in the case. If Blake Lively's legal team is hoping to find a conspiracy, they will not find one, because there is none. All of her research is based on court documents and public filings. She warned that trying to punish creators through legal channels could backfire by making it appear that the goal is to silence critics rather than seek justice. She reminded viewers that Blake Lively is a public figure whose brand image is tied to her professional success, and that legal coverage involving public celebrities is natural and expected in media. She ended the section by thanking her audience for supporting independent coverage and promised to keep them updated as the case unfolds. She concluded by emphasizing that discovery is still ongoing and that more evidence may come out from both sides. She urged her audience to remain open-minded and let the facts guide their opinions instead of jumping to conclusions before the court process is complete. Katie returned to the key point of her coverage, which was to emphasize transparency, truth, and journalistic independence. She reiterated once again that no one had funded her work on this case, no one had guided her narrative, and no one had secretly fed her information for the purpose of damaging anyone's reputation. She also revisited her position that her decision to cover the Blake Lively vs. Wayfair Studios lawsuit had not been made lightly. She had waited until multiple public filings were made before even touching the story, and even after she started reporting, she worked cautiously, fact-checking every document before making a video. Katie wanted to end her message by discussing something deeper, which is the growing tension between celebrities and content creators in the age of social media. She asked why creators who operate small businesses, often from their homes, are being subjected to subpoenas, lawsuits, and threats. What are the limits of discovery in civil cases when it comes to creators and journalists? She also asked what the impact of this case might be on future legal battles involving influencers, actors, and production companies. Would this set a precedent for targeting YouTubers in lawsuits? Will content creators need legal defense funds just to talk about court cases that celebrities file? She ended her video by thanking her audience again for their continued support, for subscribing, for sending super thanks, and for sharing her content. She told them that their messages of support help her stay grounded during stressful times, and that they remind her why she started her channel in the first place. Katie signed off by saying that she will share more updates as soon as she hears back from her legal team or Blake's attorneys, and that she will continue to be honest, direct, and respectful in her coverage. She said that if anything new breaks, she will be the first to report it. She reminded viewers that the legal system is not perfect, but it is necessary, and that being informed and engaged is one of the best ways to make sense of confusing public stories. She encouraged everyone watching to think critically, ask questions, and be patient with the process. The video closed with her final words, reminding Blake Lively's team and anyone else watching that her work is not about hate or revenge. It is about accountability, facts, and freedom of the press. She said, if you take away the right to talk about court cases, you take away part of what makes open society possible. And with that, she wished everyone well, asked them to subscribe and stay tuned for the next chapter in what she now refers to as Subpoena Gate.